Leader McConnell made a clear public commitment on the floor of the Senate. We're not going to be able to move forward if we don't trust each other. So I'm going to trust both that Leader McConnell will keep his commitment about a floor vote by a date certain, and that we now have a window of opportunity where this group has to show that it can work together and build a bipartisan consensus that produces a product worthy of time on the floor. Part of our biggest challenge is letting the Senate be the Senate. I'll remind you, a lot of what created this impasse was President Trump rejecting strong bipartisan offers that he had invited and then fairly famously blew up with a vulgar exchange, and rejecting what I thought was a very reasonable offer by Senator Schumer. I mean, he put on the table things I didn't expect him to put on the table in order to move forward. If President Trump would let the Senate be the Senate and work for the next 3 weeks, I think he'd be encouraged and surprised at how positive the result could be.
Today, we opened government. We got 6 years of funding for CHIP, which is deeply important to Virginia. The reopening government, deeply important to Virginia. And we got the guarantee that we will take up the issue of the Dreamers on the floor, which we hadn't had. We didn't get it Friday night, and we didn't get it really till this morning. There will be critics on the left and the right, and reasonably so. You can have a different point of view about these things. I get that. But my goal, look, I've always been for the Dreamers since long before I got into public office. My goal is to make something happen for them. And I think given this setup, I mean, we know who's in the White House. We know who the majorities are. It might be different if circumstances were different, but we're living in a reality. I think this is the most likely path to find a solution for Dreamers. When you're in the U.S. Senate, you have a real good sense of what you can get and how. And look, I completely respect anybody who has a passionate belief about what should be done. But those of us who are here usually have a pretty good sense of how it should be done. And there's criticism on the right on this. How dare you put the cause of Dreamers front and center in early February? They didn't want to do that. There was no way they were going to do it. They wouldn't give us that commitment Friday night. We got the commitment now, and we're going to make the best out of it.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, thanks.
Well, I mean, we did talk to the Democrats and said that we feel that we have a commitment, and I did go back to the leader's office and said that stronger language would be helpful. And he did give stronger language on the floor today, particularly about the fairness of the process. What has been difficult is dealing with the White House and not knowing where the president is. And that was what was holding us back and holding Mitch McConnell from his commitment.
How has that changed?
No, it hasn't, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think it will change. I hope that it does. I hope that the president will say, here's what we need and here's what we'll stick with. But if we don't, what we've said is we'll come to the Senate floor, and the Senate will be the Senate again. And we'll pass something and then see if the president likes it.
This time Republicans actually stayed united, but the media love to write the story, love to broadcast the story, that any shutdown is Republicans' fault. That is a natural media reflex. It's actually, I think, one of the reasons why we saw a shutdown. Because I think Chuck Schumer and the Democrats believed they could shut the government down, and reporters would dutifully blame it on Republicans no matter what the facts were.